Hello, welcome to Afternoon Tea with Karen. I need to have a chat with Harry Potter's mother.
I am your host, Samantha Lux. For this month's installment of Monday Memes of the Month, we're going to be looking at some J.K. Rowling memes because J.K. Rowling, I don't know what her issue is. I don't know what her fascination is with the trans people, but of course, she's going off again. I really just didn't want to make another video talking about everything and like breaking it down on why she's transphobic because girl, we know. We know you're transphobic. It's been settled at this point, right? So I figured instead of doing that, we could just giggle at some memes together. Because who doesn't like to giggle at memes together? Especially when they make fun of our favorite turf, or our least favorite turf. I post new videos every single week here on my channel. I post meme videos, reaction videos, all sorts of videos here on my channel. So definitely subscribe and check out another one after this. But before you do that, let's get into some of today's memes, shall we? J.K. Rowling's fans and her turf followers like to attack trans people for having plastic surgery, but they seem to ignore the absolute F-load of plastic surgery JKR has had. Literally, wait, no, because I saw an actual post from this woman. Listen, I am pro-plastic surgery. I wouldn't say pro-plastic surgery, but I am not anti-plastic surgery by any means. If you want to get something done, if you're insecure about something, or if you just want to change something, go for it, you know what I mean? As long as that desire for it is coming from a healthy place, I really don't feel like it's that big of a deal. What I do think is a big deal is making fun of trans women for having plastic surgery to, you know, affirm their gender, but then having plastic surgery on yourself, having the same procedures that trans women get on yourself, and then talking smack about the trans women that have the same procedures. Miss Joanne tweeted a reply to her that was somebody saying that she just looks like a man. I didn't say it. I didn't say it. And she replied, video about to drop, 50 minutes of sobbing because somebody thinks I look like a bloke, an appeal for donations for my facial feminization surgery, and a finale in which I compare myself to Rosa Parks and Simon Wiesenthal. So sorry, Joanne. So sorry. Our bad for not having $1 billion like you, right? Our bad for having to crowdsource for funds for our gender affirming care procedures that in more ways than one are life-saving for trans people. Not only do they greatly reduce dysphoria that trans people feel, but also they keep trans people safe in public. So I think that facial feminization is, you know, a necessity if trans people feel like they need it. But Miss J.K. Rowling just likes to tease. She just likes to poke fun at us and the fact that we don't have money to afford things that will keep us safe. So funny. But for real, the gag is maybe she should have gone to one of our doctors because, girl, I see the nose job, I see the lip filler, I see the face filler. We're not so different, you and me, girl. Just kidding, I haven't had a nose job. I haven't needed one, Joanne. J.K. Rowling right now. Trans people weren't killed in the Holocaust, or trans people were killed in the Holocaust, and it wasn't good. This is bad. I feel like I can't be saying this. If you guys don't know what has been going on lately with J.K. Rowling, I think I have another one kind of like this. When you despise anti-hate laws, deny the Holocaust, actively court, fund, and side with actual Nazis, and just hate trans people while doing nothing for women. Literally, like, here I am, I'm giving myself an award. But this one is kind of referencing this thing that has happened lately, and basically, Miss Joanne got into another Twitter battle, another Twitter beef, if you can call it that. It was a bit more serious than just a little Twitter battle, the things that she was saying. But if you don't know, in the very beginning of the Holocaust, books regarding gender and trans things were all burned, right? It was actually one of the first things that Nazis did was erase any documentation of, you know, various gender nonconformity, all of that kind of stuff. They went into the bars, they, you know, shut them all down, we'll just say. And I don't know exactly how it happened, but basically Joanne was saying, no, that never happened. No, that never happened. That never happened. Just denying it just because she doesn't like trans people, just denying it because she doesn't want to accept that trans people have been through some sort of oppression. And it is so frustrating to me. And it's also so like trademarked to TERFs to do this type of thing where they spew hatred against trans women, right? Where they incite discrimination and sometimes even violence against trans women, but they justify it by saying that it is in defense of women, in defense of real biological women. It's for their safety that I call you a man and say that you cannot come in my bathroom. She boasts about how she is this hero for women and she's so great, but she don't do anything except for talk about the trans people. She doesn't do anything except incite online violence against trans people to her 14 million plus followers on Twitter. I think it started with this one that says, how did you type this out and press send without thinking, I should probably maybe check my source for this because it might have been a fever dream. And she included a screenshot of a tweet that says, the burnt books on trans healthcare and research. Why are you so desperate to uphold their ideology around gender? Somebody called her out for doing the same things that happened, you know, way back when. And so she's like, no, they never did that. I'm doing it For sure, but they never did that back then. But then our friend Alejandra, being the academic that she is, tweeted back, "You're engaging in Holocaust denial, Joanne."
Hang a bit. Dr. Magnus Hirschfeld came up with the term transvestite and transvestism in just during before the Second World War, and transgender. That's only a couple of decades ago. Monica Helms, more than just a flag, and donated the flag to the Smithsonian. Magnus came up with this word for crossdresser, transvestite, and the clinical diagnosed condition, transvestism. Okay, back to Sam.
And cited the Holocaust Encyclopedia that says days later, the stolen books, artifacts, and clinical files were destroyed in one of the public book burnings organized across Germany. Within months, Nazi authorities forced the Institute for Sexual Science to close. So yeah, we should definitely believe Joanne over the encyclopedia, right? Sounds smart. Makes sense to me. I'm actually mutuals with Alejandra. We met about a year ago, almost a year ago. And so I want to call her in and just get her side of the story because I want the tea. Duh, where's my phone?
Gender criticals like in turfs like J.K. Rowling, their heads explode when you tell them like, yeah, trans people were not invented in 2013. We have like very well documented evidence that they exist well before that. This episode to J.K. Rowling where she goes after this user who like mentioned that the Nazis burned the first like clinic that contained like research on gender affirming care in 1933. And one of the things that like always blows like gender criticals' minds, like, hey, you know that famous picture of the Nazis burning books and doing a Sig Heil and all of that? Yeah, do you know that a lot of the books in that book burning were actually from Magnus Hirschfeld's Institute, and they were taken on a raid on May 5th, 1933, and then burned publicly. There's pictures of it. Like you can see them raiding there's pictures of them raiding the Institute and then subsequently burning the materials the next day. Not only that, we have propaganda from the 1920s where Magnus Hirschfeld was the subject of Nazi propaganda, both because he was Jewish and because he was gay, and also because he ran a clinic that supported LGBTQ people. One of the weird things that always boggles my mind is that they try to say, oh, well, the Nazis didn't actually crack down on trans people because they still permitted like transsexual certificates.
She's talking about this, the transvestite pass. It's a doctor's note recognised by the government, and where have we got in the top there? Sexologist Magnus Hirschfeld identifying the person as a transvestite. Between 1906 and 1933, perhaps dozens of such transvestite passes were granted by the German police with the support and aid of Dr. Magnus Hirschfeld. Medical assessments were also done. So it's a doctor's certificate to let them walk around in cross-dressing because they're his patients. The institute that they were talking about got burnt. That's where he treated his patients.
Like transsexual certificates. The only reason those existed was because of Magnus Hirschfeld in the 1920s. And they were a bit of a holdover, but it wasn't just because there wasn't a priority, but they often did. And now that they're digging through more of the records, the Nazis actually did revoke those and send people to concentration camps. But regardless, they essentially torched and looted that institute, which conducted some of the first research into trans people in a very formal way. We literally have evidence of this, and J.A. Rowling wouldn't have it, right? And so I went in and be like, well, here's the Holocaust Memorial Trust. Here's the U.S. Holocaust Museum, both reporting on this. Here's the Smithsonian Magazine. Like, here are all my sources. And by the way, this Smithsonian Magazine article came about because this exact thing happened where a gender critical person was challenging that trans people were victims of the Holocaust. And someone brought a court case in Cologne, Germany, where Holocaust denial is illegal. And the court said, yes, it is undeniable that trans people were persecuted by the Nazis. Denying that is a form of Holocaust denial.
Oh, from Cambridge University Press. Transgender life and persecution under the Nazi state. So in July 2022, Marie-Louise van Brech, a biology graduate student at Humboldt University in Berlin, got into a debate about history on Twitter. I was asked by a transgender non-government organisation to write an expert statement on this case for the Court of Cologne. Third paragraph down, in 1933, Hamburg officials wrote, police officials are requested to observe the transvestites, in particular, and as required to send them to concentration camps. Historians now recognise that the category transvestite corresponded very closely to our modern concept of transgender. And so, Sam, if today's trans is the same trans as the Holocaust, you've just outed yourself as a crossdresser who's had plastic surgery and has a clinical diagnosis of transvestism. And that's all that needs to be done. See you later. Bye.